are here at the PeakIT Conference in Brașov, and we are very thrilled in this very first Spotlight interview to have Erol Erdal with us, which was one of our keynote speakers. He's working basically with computers since the early 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, you've been working in IT since the early 2000s. And you've been leading teams and organizations since 2006, more or less.
Someone has been stalking my LinkedIn profile. Yes,
Yeah.
Dan, you are absolutely right.
Well, somebody needs to prepare for such interviews. Thank you very much for joining us at the PeakIT Conference and for this Spotlight interview. Very much appreciated.
It's a pleasure to be here, buddy.
So today you talked in the keynote about how can you add value, or how can we add value generally in the IT ecosystem right now. Can you maybe, for those who didn't manage to come here to Brașov right now, to maybe do a brief summary of what this is all about?
I'm a person of principles, Dan, and I think creating value should be a leading principle in whenever we decide to do something, right? I think it's quite important whenever we decide to go for a project, engage with a customer or deliver something, or maybe, in our personal lives, to have a feeling that that thing is valuable, first of all, for us. And second of all, it's also valuable for the other party, right? But let's take, for example, our discussion here, right? It has to be valuable for both of us for it to happen and for us to be happy that it is happening. For me, it's valuable because I get to speak to a, well-known Romanian YouTuber. And I hope it's also valuable for you, because otherwise you would have not invited me here, right? That's my principle about value, right? Value has to come in it has to be present in both directions. And I think the slide that sparkled the most discussions in the room was the one that was where I was trying to, show what leads to value. And I was starting with, you have to build, to come up with transparency, first of all, right? You need to be transparent with your business partner, with your collaborators, with your manager or whatever, which that transparency will lead to building trust. And then once you build trust with the other ones involved in your work or in your decisions, you will get alignment. And once you get alignment, value will be created. I think this kind of like summarizes my key message from the note.
So translating this into kind of like a way of speaking of a software developer, it's kind of that's the basic algorithm for bringing value, by having first transparency.
Yes.
That should lead to trust, building trust, and that should then bring basically alignment and then
deliver
that will
value.
deliver value.
Yes.
So basically, if we can apply this to any level of our work, either if it's me and my manager, even if we think about the project that I may be leading, for instance, it might happen that, okay, I'm leading a project, but that project in the end needs to add value to the organization for which I deliver that project, which means that we need to start with transparency so that we can build trust within the organization for that project, and basically everything will fall together.
The rest will follow. Yeah. I mean, think about it. You need transparency inside the project team, for example, right? You need to build trust inside the project team, because that's the team that's going to deliver. On the other hand, you need to build the same with your customer, right? You don't want to go and brag about how great your project is going to be, and then at the end of the day, you cannot deliver half of it.
Yeah.
That's lack of transparency. That customer is probably not going to trust you for the second project, and it's not going to bring value to anyone. So yeah, that's I think that's the key message that I wanna convey with my presentation.
Okay, that's value. I think that's a very nice one, and it's also very valuable for all of us, basically, because there is a basic framework that we can apply and try to get to value, basically, in whatever we do in this IT landscape, at least. But I would assume it kind of like applies also to non-IT.
I think it's more like a life thing rather than just work, right? I think it's I need to trust you, need to trust me in order for this thing to work as people, right?
Okay, cool. So I would maybe want to continue this topic of value, but I want to bring it a little bit in a different direction. So I am a software developer at heart, so I'm developing software for 10 years. Obviously, right now in the role that I'm doing, I'm mostly not writing code as much as I did before, but well, that happens. But the idea is that as a software developer by heart, right now, kind of like the value that I was able to bring for the past 10 years was kind of like very straightforward and very clear, because I was able to solve business problems through code. However, nowadays we are in this landscape where we have AI, and there's this big discussion that, okay, will AI replace developers or it won't replace developers? So a lot of developers and QAs basically, and everybody in this IT industry right now, they have a lot of fears actually. How will I be able to still bring value in this new landscape that's driven by AI? So what's your take on this as a leader of teams and organizations?
I totally empathize with the fear, to be honest, right? It makes sense. Whenever we humans tend to sometimes, be afraid of the unknown. And for a lot of people, AI is an unknown, right? And people get scared when ChatGPT tells them the best destination to visit in France or Italy or whatever. And like, oh, what the hell is this? Now, the thing is, I'm working with like really, really talented software engineers, right? And people that can write code as very few others can. And they use AI. And they use AI as a tool, right? These people, and AI makes writing code easier. AI can probably make your variable naming easier, right? AI will pinpoint if you constructed an object and then you forgot about deconstructing it and stuff like this, right? But AI will never replace, or okay, I should never say never. AI will not replace for now the human creativity. AI will not be able to replace the human spirit. We had a second keynote speaker, right, who gave quite an in-depth analysis of how AI evolved. And I don't want to oversimplify it, but at the end of the day, AI is now powered by LLMs, which are trained neural models, trained on a huge amount of previous, used data and stuff like this. So for now, human creativity is still number one.
Okay. May I maybe say, or let's see if we agree on this one or not, but I think kind of like creativity is very important. And the reason why I think creativity is important is because creativity is what drives innovation. And since AI or LLMs nowadays, they are trained on pre-existing data, they can't really innovate because they can only produce outputs that are basically somewhere in those data or in the data that the LLM consumed. Mm-hmm. So do you tend to agree with this, that kind of like AI will not be able to actually innovate, and that's why we will still be able to have value due to our creativity?
Dan, to be honest, for now, yes, our creativity is still the most valuable thing humans can bring to the table, right?
Okay.
But what is going to happen 5 or 10 years from now? It's very hard to say, right?
Okay.
My take on this is that, well, probably 10 to 5 years from now, we won't be doing repetitive tasks, humans, I mean, right? Either replaced by AI or robots or whatever you wanna call them. But if I want to joke about it, someone still needs to program that AI, right?
Yeah.
Someone still needs to write the code for that AI to work. And this is a comparison to the cloud hype, right? We had the cloud hype, and everyone is like all about cloud, and we run in the cloud, and we run serverless computing. Come on, folks. At the end of the day, there's a data center somewhere with servers in there that have memory, disks, and connection, right? Okay. So, yeah, it's good to talk about cloud, but at the end of the day, those servers that were 40, 30, 50 years ago in a data center are still there.
And actually, that's a very good joke. And I remember 10 years ago when I started, I was also working at a kind of like very big corporation. Probably not a direct competitor to what we're working right now, but very big one. And that was exactly this hype with cloud transformation. It was at the beginning, at that point, kind of like at the beginning. And everybody, like sysadmins, they were afraid, okay, now everybody goes to cloud, so what will we do in the future? And guess what? The number of sysadmins and whatever that just increased. Actually, it did not decrease at all. So,
sorry, someone needs to run the cloud.
Yeah.
Someone needs to program AI, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to be suddenly like in a very apocalyptic movies, we're not going to be replaced by robots. I'm pretty sure that if a robot can do my job or AI can do my job, I'm going to find something else to do. I'm going to go painting maybe or open up a bar on a beach.
Yeah.
So I think humans, the way we interact, right? that cannot be replaced.
That
by
can be
AI.
replaced.
Our creativity, our way of coming up with new things, I don't think computers can replicate that as of now.
But I think maybe one thing that we need to be kind of like open to is that we kind of like also adapt to this new change, because there might be some shifting paradigms, there might be some shifting ways of working as in IT and as programmers and QAs, and we need to be open to that and be able to adapt to that.
Then we can go back to the cloud story, right?
Yeah.
People that adapted properly clouds and they migrated their workloads dynamically into clouds had most gains out of it, right?
Yeah.
Organizations that will know how to integrate AI into their workflows, into their way of doing things, will benefit a lot. But this doesn't mean they want to just fire 99% of their people and replace them with some computers.
Yeah.
No, it's how, as I was saying earlier, right? Some of the best engineers I've seen, they make most use of AI, right? If AI can check my code, if AI can generate better naming conventions than I can do for my variables, if AI
Check
can
for
do that,
security problems,
exactly,
maybe, yeah.
let it do it. It's probably going to pay more attention. It's going to be more thorough that you could be as a human, and it never gets bored.
Yeah.
AI doesn't get bored, right?
Yeah.
So make best use of it. Make it, transform it into your friend, ally, and, thrive together.
Okay. In the end, and kind of like closing the circle, basically, we can use AI to, in the end, bring more value, basically.
We can use AI to bring value in an easier way, I would say.
Okay. That's kind of like a very, very good conclusion. Thank you very much for joining our discussion. It was a pleasure, and hope to meet you some other days soon.
We'll be around. Thank you so much, Dan. This was a great conversation. Thank you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.